Postal here. So today we're taking out the F7F. This was on request. You know what? When I first went down this line, I wasn't really... I remember hearing that this particular plane was kind of a pain in the butt. I don't like, it's the weak link on this particular line, and the American line is definitely a really, really good line. From top to bottom, in my opinion. But since then, since I've gone back and attempted to, replay it, I really don't quite like this plane. To the point where I got it set up really quite weird. At least weird how I would currently have most of my. I feel like none of my shots hit there. How I would typically have most of my heavy planes. Like none of my sounds, huh? None of my sounds, huh? Kind of put myself in a wonky position here. But this plane does have a decent amount of speed. It's not like the best. It's not the worst. I typically play this more recently, kind of like a multi-roll, to be honest. It is kind of low altitude. I think I have to double check the metrics, but I think it's actually even lower altitude than this P-38 I'm chasing down. The XF5U after it is similar, kind of low altitude for a heavy. But what this plane does have is very, very, very consistent guns. They're all centrally located, and there's 20 mils and hello plane, 20 mil cannons and speak Postal machine guns, 50 cal machine guns. I apologize. So I was on Thanksgiving for Thanksgiving week. I had the whole week off, which is super swell. It gives me a lot of flexibility when it comes to recording and just playing games in general. But unfortunately, last night was my first night back at I'm toast. First night back into my normal shift, meaning I was having to work until 1 in the morning and then be up at freaking god awful times. And so that's what I've had to do. And so I'm tired as all can be. And so I'm rambling, as you can tell. If you couldn't tell, Postal's rambling. And I think my headset's broken. Because I don't hear half the stuff that's going on here, and I don't actually think it's the game. I typically try to blame the game. But anyway, so what am I doing with this plane besides doing everything I can to avoid getting shot right now? I play it, like I said, like a multi-roll. This plane actually is quite maneuverable. But that doesn't mean that I can turn or out-turn anything, right? What I want to do is put myself in a position that if I can get all these guns on target, I'll do so. Why am I not getting ranch? But I'm not gonna necessarily dogfight with anything that I know for a fact can outturn me. We are gonna get some wrench, right? Frigadig, come on. Now, where this isn't a multi-roll though is versus high health pool planes. So these bombers, let's go get them. Ground attack planes, let's go get them. I'll definitely have fun doing that. Let's get rid of this P-38 first if I can. Again, you're gonna ram me again? Ramming is a viable tactic, versus something that can outmaneuver me. I don't recall off the top of my head if a P-38 can outmaneuver me. But frickin' guns are gonna get me, really? Yep. But I know that I can survive a ram, just because I already have. So what the heck, if he wants to ram me again, then so be it. Let's knock out these GAs. Use our gun power to knock that guy out. Try not to hit the freaking radar tower. There we go. Pretty darn quick work of that, wasn't it? And so that's really the focus of this plane. You've got one pretty darn big bomb. You've got a decent amount of rockets, which I'm about to hopefully use. A super long reload time, so the focus should not be on necessarily centralizing your focus on the ground attack capabilities of this plane. But you do want to... I'm gonna die here. Let's see if I can just go straight up. Not really. I mean, I can, but I unfortunately have defense aircraft right on me that's gonna kill me. Yeah. We'll see if the flak gets me. Nope, I was gonna say it's eventually gonna get me. Drop my big bomb there. I should have been paying more attention to the defense aircraft. Would have been able to allow me to take them out first. Drop the bomb really quickly. Get rid of them first, and then be able to utilize my rockets, which I still haven't used on this particular plane. Go ahead and we'll get some Thunderbolt. Fast boosting, engaging. Went over, he's going down, good. Squall lines in. I couldn't hear the guy say that. I don't know what's up with my headset. Oh no. Oh, FJ. I mean F4U1. Anyway. The 2 American multi-rolls here that I've got to take out. Let's go ahead and do that. Flipping over. So I do have, currently at least, I've got the engine restart on this plane because the engines do get knocked out a lot. Turning a little bit just because this guy's not turning, so what the hell, might as well kind of situation. Got a tornado inbound. And there's the game. Wow, dang. I didn't feel like that was like the world's best game, but not a bad way to wake up at freaking 7 in the morning and then pump out a game. Let's head on back. I just realized I don't think my freaking headset cord was plugged in all the way. That would be one good reason why I couldn't hear everything. Alright, so, my personal information here, got 12,000 personal points, yada yada yada. And so, this plane, actually, believe it or not, is relatively similar to... Well, wait, let's not make that statement. Let me gather my thoughts. This plane it's an odd duck. So there's 4 tier 7 heavies in the game, right? This one is kind of in between a Hornet and the BF-109Z. What I mean by that is the Hornet, has quite a lot of ground armament, ground abilities. You want to take advantage of that. It's kind of what separates the Hornet from everything else. Its reload on its ground armament is pretty darn quick, at least compared to everything else here. Actually got a bunch of tier 7 heavies, huh? And so, it's 2 minutes, whoopity-doo. 2 minutes, you do a lot in 2 minutes. You've got decent guns on the front here, but it's pretty slow. The altitude performance is lacking. It just feels like a cumbersome, hard to manage vehicle, right? The F7F, the guns are basically the same, although they're rated higher on the Hornet. On the F7F. You've got 4 Hispanos, but what makes the difference on the F7F is you've got 4 20s, but then you've also got 4 machine guns, which really help when you're going for those maneuverable aircraft, taking out slight damage, setting them on fire typically when you're going against multi-rolls and fighters. That's very helpful for this. The other thing that, the biggest difference is with the bombs and rockets, this takes 3 minutes. And it's not that, 2-minute time frame. So the Hornet, you really do want to focus on the ground abilities. Whereas on the F7F, you actually kind of don't. You just want, 3 minutes, there's going to be some games that honestly you only get to drop your bombs and rockets twice. Like I just did. I didn't even get to drop my rockets because I never got the ability to kind of stay on target. And so, to making any kind of focus on your bombing ability is going to be a little bit of a waste. What you want to focus on is, boosting up those other metrics. The altitude performance is pretty, it's okay. It's middling, right? It's pretty good, but it's not anything special, especially when you compare it to things like the BF-109Z, which, has significant airspeed and altitude performance over the F7F. But what the F7F does, in my opinion, better is I kind of like the F7F guns better. Yeah, that BF-109Z has 30mm chunks. Technically, you can have 20mm guns on the BF-109Z. And it takes out huge chunks of hit points, but the F7F's guns are just more consistent. You're able to impact more plane types with the F7F's attack ability. It's all centralized. You can take down bombers, you can take down GAs, you can take down literally any of the planes because you've got that mix of guns. Whereas a BF-109Z struggles with any kind of maneuverable plane if you don't get them. It doesn't struggle with its ability to take out the damage, to take out the hit points. What it does struggle with is just sometimes hitting them. It might take a couple passes. Whereas the F7F, I feel like it's more of a one-pass kind of pony. And yeah, so like the BF-109Z only has 1 bomb. The Key 93 only has 1 bomb. Oh no, I think the Key 93's got 2 bombs now that I think about it. But they're it's just 2 bombs. It's nothing that's gonna overly impact the ground. And so where the Key 93 and the BF-109Z are really more built for air-to-air combat, and the Hornet is more built for air-to-ground combat. Although the 420mm Hispanos are very good, very good for taking out aircraft. The F7F, I believe, of all of these is the balanced approach, and so that's what I meant by claiming to be a multi-role. It's not really the best at anything, but it can do everything. A lot like a lot of the American planes in this game are not necessarily the best in any one particular category. But specific to the F7F, but back to the F7F, like a multi-role, you want to keep this keep it out of danger. You want to play on the periphery. You want to, the times I died or even had the chance of dying was when I was getting stuck in, right? Getting stuck in an F7F is a recipe for disaster quite often because you can't get unstuck very easily. You don't have the best airspeed. You don't have the best altitude performance, right? Your maneuverability's okay for a tier 7 heavy, but it's just okay, and it's a freaking heavy. It's not going to outmaneuver much of anything. So what you want to do is take advantage of distracted enemies. You want to drop your bombs and rockets when you get the opportunity, because they are impactful, no pun intended. But you don't necessarily want to set up all your equipment to... You want to make sure that the outboard equipment that you're going to eventually put on, if you specialize this plane, doesn't negatively impact the things that matter on this plane, which is going to be the airspeed and which is going to be the guns. If it impacts that, then it's the wrong equipment slot for the Tigercat. And so yeah, if you're playing this like a multi-role, if you're keeping yourself out of notice, then you're able to pounce on those unsuspecting planes. The guns will tear up multi-roles and fighters. It will tear up heavies and bombers and ground attack planes, right? So utilizing that strength that you would have to be an opportunist will allow you to do a lot better with the F7F. I've set my plane up with gas-operated action. I'm not so sure that I do trust, because the combination of 20 mil cannons and 50 caliber machine guns, the gas-operated action is a pretty good option for that. I don't see an issue to adjust it to fix the burst length or to fix the range of my fire. It seems to be quite good where it's at, and so just changing the rate of fire seems to be quite helpful. But anyway, where I do have questions about is if the improved boost mixture control is the right step to go. This helps when you're boosting. It's giving you a little bit more boost during that time frame, but it does take away your overall time frame. I am tempted to do the uprated engine just to help the acceleration. We'll see. I'm really tempted to just do uprated engine. The engine armor protection I had on there for a while, it didn't really help the engines. The engine still got knocked out, so it was just kind of wasted equipment slot. I had the engine protection there, and then I had like engine cooling here, but my engines continually got knocked out. So at this point, I'm stuck with the bottle for the manual engine restart. I'd rather have this so I can restart my engines than have the extra boost on engines that I can't use because they've been knocked out, right? For the airframe, I don't know what I'm going to choose for my consumable. It's 6 of one, half dozen of another. On the equipment slot here in the cockpit, I don't really get my pilot knocked out, so I'll probably have the sight on here. And that's that. So it's tier 7 heavy. It doesn't have those extra slots that you get at tier 8 and above. So my recommendation again, and so you might want to mess around with the equipment slots or the consumables. I still recommend a manual engine restart. Like, of all the consumables, I recommend that just because it is super frustrating when you get your engine knocked out. This plane is pretty good at making a straight up dive. It's not the best by any means, but you saw like I was able to get away from some planes, not all the time, but some of the planes, if they're not ready to boost straight up kind of thing or boost up at a high angle, you can lose planes that way like I did. But it shouldn't necessarily, it should be like, if it works, yay. There's a chance of it working, more of a chance than with a lot of other planes, but don't expect it to necessarily work every single time, especially versus humans. Anywho, I hope this kind of helps if you're grinding down this line. If you've gone down the line, do you have any helpful hints for tips for anybody that is on the F7F? Like I said, when I first played the game, so this is actually very similar to how I would have had my plane set up. I would have used the manual engine restart. That's how I had all my engines when I first started playing the game. I had that, and then I forget what it's called, but where it re-engages your flaps and tail. And so I started changing it up about a year into the game. I was like, oh, maybe this isn't the right way to go. But this plane, it is the right way to go. These engines, they're huge. Look at the size of them for this plane. They're ginormous. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. I hope you get some helpful hints in the comments below. And otherwise, I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks for joining me, and bye.